Hey guys, welcome to a little bit of a different version of Come On Ref. Maybe a little bit different than what you're used to seeing. I'm here with all the people that love me to talk about sports. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. No, it's just I'm flying solo today. It's been tough to consistently, get people in the mix, and yeah, it's a tough time of year. It's spring, like we're transitioning to summer. People have kids, man. The school years are ending. People are going on vacations. So I find myself alone talking to you about sports today. But I've got a really exciting show. I'm going to try to get through it as quickly as I can because it's going to be, I guess, a little bit weird without the back and forth. You're going to be hearing just my side of these things, which maybe will be fun for some of you and not so much fun for others of you. But that's okay. You can let me know in the comments if there's anything that you'd like to add or any thoughts or anything on anything. Just add in the just please feel free to comment. As always, like and subscribe. It helps me grow. It helps us grow. Um, and that's all I've really got for you as far as that goes. Just the housekeeping stuff. Let's get right into it. A lot of stuff going on in sports. The first I want to get into, I wanted to talk about this last week. I didn't get a chance to mention it because we were very, very close to doing the show last week, and then we had some nasty weather kind of come through the area and cut our plans short. But here we are. I did want to say that Caitlin Clark has signed an exclusive deal with Wilson. Uh, Honestly, I mean, if you look at it the right way, I mean, it hasn't really been done since Michael Jordan did this. I mean, she's got her own. Well, basically, I'll read the statement to you. It says the WNBA player signed Caitlin Clark signed a multi-year deal with Wilson Sporting Goods, the league's official basketball supplier for quote unquote signature basketball collections, celebrating Clark's continued legacy. Clark will test, advise, and provide feedback on a range of Wilson's basketball products, basically. She'll become a brand ambassador and release new collections that are going to celebrate her throughout the rest of 2024. So for all her accomplishments, everything that she's, all the notoriety, all the fame, all the everything, all the eyes she's brought to the WNBA, I think it's really cool that Wilson has decided to bring her on, basically as, like I said, a brand ambassador. I mean, I wouldn't really call it a sponsorship or even it's not even really a commercial deal. I mean, she's like, this is a big deal, right? It's a big deal for Caitlin Clark. Well deserved. I think her Indiana Fever team just picked up their first win. I mean, I know people want to put that on her individually, but that's not the way team sports work. One individual is rarely going to be able to carry an entire team to a win or wins, whatever it is. We've seen the rare cases where that does happen. But yeah, give her some time to acclimate to the league and, let her get used to things in the WNBA a little bit. And just know that, like I said, positive change has already come about because of Caitlin Clark. I know she takes a lot of heat, both, unfortunately on social media. I see a lot of terrible comments and from people within her own league. Um, Even the head coach of Team USA had some negative things to say, and that's I guess that's a little troubling. But I guess people are always going to be people, and some of that comes with some negativity. So anyway, I don't mean to end on the negativity part of that at all. Again, Caitlin Clark will be a brand ambassador for Wilson. Going to test and provide feedback, and look for those. Just look for those. I guess those rollouts coming for the rest of 2024. We've got about 6 months left of the year. Wow, almost already to June. Unbelievable. And speaking of June, there's going to be something really, really cool. I'm really proud that they selected my birthday for this. June 20th, Thursday, June 20th, in Birmingham, Alabama, at Rickwood Field. The St. Louis Cardinals are going to take on the San Francisco Giants in a really, really, really special game. Rickwood Field has such an amazing, rich baseball history. All the way around. It's been open since 1910. It's the oldest professional baseball stadium that's still operating in the United States. And it was a mecca for the Negro Leagues. Obviously from 1920 until about 1951-ish, when I think that's when most people recognize that the Negro League stopped being a major baseball league. It just integration had happened somewhat, and we'd seen Jackie Robinson and a number of players come over, and I think at that point the talent was starting to finally deservedly so make their way into the major leagues. And I think, financially that obviously hurts some things a little bit. But to get back to Rickwood Field, June 20th, Giants and Cardinals. This is a tribute to the Negro Leagues. And it comes at a great time. I mean, today is really an exciting day for baseball as well. Major League Baseball announced that they're finally going to officially integrate all of the Negro League stats into the Major League Baseball statistical database, finally recognizing these players as Major League Baseball players. Deservedly so. Just such good news. I mean, I know people have mixed feelings on this, and you know, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, these guys were at the top of what you really would want to have seen baseball wise. And people act like they ducked competition by not playing in the major leagues. They weren't allowed. They weren't allowed to compete with quote unquote what we like to call the best of the best. We'll never really know, right? We'll never really know. But these guys deserve this and so much more recognition. I'm really, really excited about this. I mean, for instance, I mean, this guy, listen now, Josh Gibson of the Homestead Grays, right? He is the new all-time career leader in batting average. He passed Ty Cobb. He also passed Babe Ruth, by the way, in career slugging percentage and OPS. So Gibson put up some numbers. He's also another record that Josh Gibson will hold now. Single season batting average, 466. He put up in 1943 for the Homestead Grays. Legendary Negro League team. Josh Gibson was a legendary player. I believe Satchel Paige is now getting 125 wins, official wins, added to his total. Exciting news that we're finally seeing these guys listed as, some of the statistical leaders of all time in baseball. It's well deserved. It's so far past due. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. But it's good to finally see that progress. It's great to see that. And again, June 20th, Birmingham, Alabama, Rickwood Field. I don't know how many seats. I know it's limited, and it's in the middle of the neighborhood. I was reading the statement, and they're literally asking fans to park at another field, take a shuttle to the stadium, and while they're waiting in line, they want people to be respectful of people's homes. I mean, people's homes are right there. This is not, your typical major league stadium where it's like the whole, downtown area, or it's completely encased by concrete and parking lots and office buildings. I mean, these people live around this field. Super exciting. One thing that I read about Rickwood Field, this was mind blowing, that 181 of 352 people in the Baseball Hall of Fame have either played, managed, led a team, umpired a game, or had something to do with baseball in some capacity at Rickwood Field. 181 out of 352. That's mind-blowing. It's truly the mecca of baseball, right? It is like the central point of professional baseball in America. So again, if you can get down there, Birmingham, Alabama, Rickwood Field, look it up. At the very least, educate yourself about it. It's got an amazing history. I mean, I love stuff like this. I'm kind of a baseball history nerd anyway. This is really cool when you read about stuff that maybe hasn't always hit the mainstream or hasn't always been common knowledge. Anytime I can learn anything about baseball, and I learned a lot about Rickwood Field. It's really, really cool place, really cool story. And again, June 20th, that game is going to take place on my birthday. I'm really excited about that. I'm actually really, really excited about that. So that's, great news in the way of progress, in the way of baseball. Really fun stuff. Other than that, that's all I've really got for you headline wise. Wanted to get into some of the NFL draft stuff because we had some reactions about, I don't know, I think what some people viewed as a bizarre pick. The Atlanta Falcons decided to take Michael Penix at 8 overall, which wouldn't have been bizarre standing on its own, right? I mean, Penix was a great quarterback, led his team to the national championship game. Would have been a reasonable pick. He's had a really long, kind of a storied college career, to be honest with you. Great player. I had no problem with him going 8 overall. It's the situation he's going into that kind of perplexed me a little bit. The Falcons had just signed Kirk Cousins to a 4-year, $180 million deal just this offseason. It's not like they've seen him, on the field in Atlanta and said, well, maybe we didn't get what we paid for. Let's take a quarterback because this could go south real quick. The Kirk Cousins era hadn't technically started in Atlanta other than a press conference. And now they bring Michael Penix in, as the 8th overall pick. A lot of people said, hey, look, this is smart because then you groom Penix to be the starter when Cousins is done in 4 years, right? In 4 years. That would leave Penix Penix is already 24 years old. He's already had, a 6, 7, 25-year college career. It's with the COVID year and transfers and maybe there was a medical red shirt. I don't even know, honestly, what happened in there. But yeah, he's 24 now. So if things go well, because when you pay a quarterback $180 million, you hope they go well. You hope things go well, right? If things go well with Kirk Cousins, you're looking at Penix, not being on the field for 4 years at a minimum, right? That's 28 years old. The last, maybe maybe we're a little jaded here in Cleveland because the last quarterback that we know of that made a start at 28 years old was Brandon Weeden. He was the 22nd overall pick in the 2012 draft. He also very quickly became the first quarterback to, anybody want to take a guess? It's not good. Get stuck under a flag. Yeah, that happened. We'll just, maybe I can get a location icon pin. We can just, boop. We'll show you right where, there he is. Right under the flag. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. His day didn't get better, by the way. That was, when was that? September 9th, 2012, that debut with the Browns. Palpable electricity in the dog pound, right? Like we finally have a quarterback who can knock clay pigeons out of the air by throwing a football. Is that important? Was that a thing? I remember seeing that sports science and going, hey, the Browns got a guy here. You go clay pigeon shooting and you don't even need to bring a gun with this guy. Huh? Like, well, anyway, I bought into that. I was like, this is really exciting. He's super accurate. Browns are probably going to win the Super Bowl in the next 3 years, right? No. He, where are his numbers? Do I have his numbers that day? Yeah. 12 of 35, which is honestly, it's better than I even remember. 118 yards and 4 interceptions, which almost eclipsed his quarterback rating of 5.1. So it's not great. Quick review. 22nd overall pick at 28 years old. Stuck under one flag. First quarterback to ever do that. That's amazing. Congratulations, Brandon Weeden. That's an accomplishment. And then he threw 4 picks immediately in the game. In one of the sloppiest, ugliest games I think I ever remember watching ever in my football watching career. It was an awful game. Somehow the Browns found a way to lose that game, though Michael Vick would throw 4 interceptions, I believe, as well that day for the Eagles. Anyway, it was a mess. Yeah, so that's our last experience with a 28-year-old starter at quarterback. So maybe we're a little jaded here. Maybe that's why we said, don't do it. Maybe it'll work out for the Falcons. I have no idea. I don't know what the long-term plan is. I can't imagine you want to keep a guy on the bench and start him for the first time at 28, losing most of his physical peak years there. As an NFL player, I mean, you don't have too long to play. Although there's the rare, Tom Brady, Brett Favre. You got guys that play until they're 40 or almost 40, whatever. I just don't know what the long-term goal is there. That's a tough look for me. I've had people try to explain it to me and I can see some of the point of view, but again, best case scenario, you're looking at 28 years old when he finally hits the field as a starter. I just don't know unless they had an opportunity to really improve on their defense there with that 8th overall pick, or they could have gotten Kirk Cousins a weapon, right? That he could have had at his disposal for the next 4 years at that 8 overall pick. They just had so many options, and to go with another quarterback, a starting level. I mean, listen, if I take a guy 8th overall, I expect him to be a starter within that calendar year, right? I know quarterback's a tough position to come in right away and be the guy, but listen, as a top 10 pick, aren't the expectations there? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it'll work out for the Falcons. Maybe we'll come back to this and I'll clip this in 4 years or 5 years or 6 years when Michael Penix is clearly on his way to being a Hall of Famer, and I'll go, hey, Falcons knew what they were doing. Who the heck am I? But we'll see. We'll see what happens. The Browns draft I thought was very interesting. Again, they didn't have a pick until number 54 overall. So really nothing to get excited about in the first round, except for, the Falcons doing crazy things. At least for Browns fans. So the Browns took Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State, which I thought was a great pick at number 54. As a guy who could probably work his way into being a starter, maybe not this year, but maybe as soon as next year on that defensive line. He's going to be a rotational guy for sure. Great penetration, get after the quarterback a little bit. Seems to have a really low center of gravity. Plays, pretty tough. Good motor. And then ironically, at their next pick, I'm sorry, that was the second round. I think I said the third round, but their next pick was the third round, number 85 overall. They took Zach Zinter from Michigan. I love the pick. Tough kid. He had an unfortunate injury in that Ohio State Michigan game where he was actually thrown into. A player was thrown into his leg, broke the bones in his lower leg. Ironically, that player was Michael Hall Jr., who the Browns selected at 54. So I don't think that was an accident at all. I know that the Browns know, or at least knew at the time when they picked these two players, that they had bonded over the injury. I mean, completely unintentional. Obviously, you can't control getting thrown into someone else's legs, and Zinter knows it's just part of life in the trenches. I mean, sometimes that happens. Sometimes guys roll over. Sometimes they get thrown into you. Those kinds of injuries happen when you got big guys, planting their legs in the grass and trying to push. That kind of stuff happens. But yeah, Hall and Zinter bonded in the offseason over the injury. Obviously, Hall didn't mean to do it, didn't want that to happen. So he checked in on Zinter. The two struck up a friendship, and now the Browns take them back to back in the draft. I think that does a lot. I mean, I think they'll get the opportunity to maybe go against each other in practice a little bit, but they come in with the familiarity. It's hard to. That's got to be like the hardest thing sometimes as a professional franchise. You draft a bunch of guys, and you don't really know anything about how their personalities are going to meld with the guys you already have in the building, but at least that those two guys come in, they know each other. There's some kind of strength in numbers there. They've got a friendship that they've struck up because of that injury. So I thought that was really cool. The Browns analytics department, doing some overtime there, not only picking guys who I think Zinter will provide excellent offensive line depth for the Browns and could become a starter one day. I don't think that's out of the question at all. And again, I could see Hall, starting on the defensive line and being a pretty significant role player, as soon as next year. But again, they bring him in with that prefab friendship, and I just think that's really, really cool, really smart. Again, the Browns analytics department. Maybe that's Paul DePodesta from The Office in New York. Maybe analytics wins this time, but we'll see. They had 6 picks overall. Listen, I didn't have any huge glaring holes to really try to go after. Obviously, every team needs some improvement, but I wouldn't be telling you the truth if I told you I knew much about the other picks. I know Jamari Thrash is a wide receiver from Louisville. I took him in the 5th round, pick number 156. Thrash is he's pretty fast, and short burst areas. He can. I think he's a decent route runner, but his quick burst speed, I think, is what the Browns were looking at. Listen, possibly for a kickoff returner. I know that the kickoff rules have changed. I think teams are going to be looking for different kinds of guys to put back there and try to gain some advantage. You just have to Google how the kickoff returns are going to look now in the NFL. Look that up. Watch a couple of videos. It's interesting. And then, think and listen, put it in the comment section. I mean, comment to me, let me know what you might do if you're an NFL head coach. And I mean, let me know the perfect, I don't know, the strategy or the perfect play, the guy you'd put back there to return kicks and how you'd set it up or whatever, because I think teams are going to be really, really creative with this. And look for the Browns to be one of those teams. I don't know if Jamari Thrash has any future as in that role at all. I don't know. But I would look for the Browns to be very creative with the kickoff returns, as most teams will be, I would think, across the league. The Steelers have already mentioned, maybe using their backup quarterback in Justin Fields as a kickoff returner. I think he kind of nixed that idea. I don't think he's really into that. Or maybe it was, I don't know, maybe the whole thing was a joke from all around, but who knows? Like I said, I look for teams to be really creative with that. And maybe Thrash has a role there, maybe not. Round 6, Browns took linebacker Nathaniel Watson from Mississippi State. Again, I don't know a ton about him. Linebacker is kind of a hole a little bit for the Browns. It was a weak spot for the Browns. They could use a good middle linebacker. And then 2 7th round picks, Miles Harden, cornerback from South Dakota. I don't know. I haven't watched South Dakota play football. I'm sorry. There's only so much time in a day. I have 2 kids. And then Jawan Briggs, a defensive tackle from Cincinnati. Everyone says he's a very, very high moral guy, good character guy, hard worker. So who knows? Maybe he can work his way into a rotational role in that defensive line. Again, the Browns have always, it seems like since the beginning of time, needed some help at defensive tackle. Well, at least since the beginning of the new time, since they came back in '99. It seems like the defensive tackle is always kind of a hole, and when it gets filled, something always happens. So maybe he works his way into a rotational role for a couple years and can play here. Who knows? We'll see. Let's move on. I want to move on to basketball because there's so much going on. This is kind of a local flavor kind of a show today. Again, we talked about some of the national news, but I mean, right now in the NBA, obviously we know the conference finals are going on. Boston has swept their way through to the finals after beating the Cavs 4-1 in the second round. I don't think anybody's super surprised that it was the Celtics that are going to the finals from the East. Maybe the sweep surprised some people. I don't know. I thought the Pacers would compete a little better as far as maybe winning a couple games in the series. But the Celtics are really kind of a machine, and I don't know. Maybe it doesn't make you feel so bad about the Cavs. I mean, the Cavs lost 4-1, sure, but they competed in most of those games. With Boston, they're pretty good. Sometimes had Boston looking a little out of sorts. So maybe that makes you feel a little bit better about the Cavs heading into the offseason. I don't know. Again, comment. Let me know. I mean, where are you with the Cavs right now? But most importantly, what they've decided to do, and I think everybody saw this coming. I don't think, maybe except for actually getting to the conference finals and winning a couple of games, I don't know if there's anything JB Bickerstaff could have done to save his job. I think we all knew he was on the way out. A lot of people assume or, say whatever, observe, whatever it is, that he and Donovan Mitchell maybe really don't, not that they don't get along, they just don't mesh well as far as, coaching strategy and player production and getting the most out of your guys. But I don't necessarily think it's even that. I think Bickerstaff's done a nice job. Won 99 games here over 2 years. That's no small feat. This is post LeBron for the second time, Cleveland. And so honestly, any quick success is welcome, I think, is smiled upon. I think people maybe, watched JB Bickerstaff get completely outcoached last year by the Knicks. And just I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he was outcoached, but it just seemed like I think the argument was rotation, right? He only used, 7, 8 guys. You got to use more guys. Did he have more guys? Here's my question. Should the Cavaliers have maybe thought about letting Kobe Altman go? And I know that Altman has been building these teams and he does a pretty good job of acquiring talent. But here's my small issue, and I don't know as much about basketball as some people that I know. So if I'm wrong, if you're watching this, if this show finds its way to you and you're like way better at constructing a basketball roster than I am, at least an NBA roster, and you probably are, please comment and let me know if I'm wrong or if I'm headed down the right direction. I don't know. I just don't think Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell can play together. And I don't think it's I don't think it's a personal thing. I don't think they don't get along or anything like that. I just think they're both guys who need the ball in their hand. They can't be on the court at the same time and have that be an effective way, right, to go on with this offense. By that same token, I worry a little bit about Jared Allen and Evan Mobley being on the floor together. And most of the time, you've got these guys on the floor at the same time as each other. And I think they all hold each other back a bit. I think Jared Allen's a great player. He's shown, stretches of, almost carrying this team at times, right? We love him when he's there. When he goes away, it's noticeable. So, he's a great player. But I think he's just holding back Evan Mobley's development a little bit. If they want Mobley to be that guy that, who can play the 5 and also stretch the floor, almost like, use him like a Kevin Love where he, can knock down some threes, play some athletic basketball, play defense in the post, which maybe Love's strength wasn't defense in the post, but that's the type of player they want Mobley to turn into. I think Jared Allen might be holding that development back just a little bit because they're the same type of guy, and it's hard to. It's really just like Garland and Donovan Mitchell. It's hard to have those same type of guys on the court at the same time. I don't think you can afford to bring both of those guys off the bat. I don't think you can afford to not start both of those guys. Maybe one of, I don't know. I just think the Browns roster is instead Browns. Are you kidding me? I think the Cavs, I'm looking at my notes here for the next topic or for the last topic. I think the Cavs roster is just so in flux right now. It doesn't seem like it because they've made, a decent playoff appearance this year, right? They won a series. They struggled a little bit more with Orlando than maybe we would have liked them to. Paolo Banchero came out of that series and people were talking about, hey, maybe he's the next Magic Johnson. And I think maybe pump the brakes on that. I think it was just maybe the way the Cavs were having a tough time defending him and defending Orlando, in general in that series. But yeah, I mean, to take Orlando to say, it took them to 7 games, to beat the Magic, to eliminate the Magic and to get onto the Celtics. They did win one game. I think, I don't know. I'm not sure what we really expected there. I think a lot of people expected the Cavs to get swept by the Celtics. So maybe winning one game was a small moral victory. Moral victories don't bring trophies home. I know everybody wants to talk about, well, we did this well, did that well. But the bottom line is you want to win championships, right? You want to at least get to the conference finals and have a chance to go to the finals. And you'd like to see the Cavs back at that level of play. I don't know that they can do it with the roster currently built the way it is. They seem to have this weird aversion to like the 6'7", 6'8" wing guy who, the 3 who can shoot some threes and create a little bit offensively. And maybe, in a pinch can come run the point, or maybe it can drop down the post and do a little bit defensively or offensively. And, just those long length guys that like make it tough to do anything on the perimeter, right? Like they just really seem to have an aversion the way the Browns had an aversion to good wide receivers for a while. I don't know if you remember at one point, the Browns were like so defiant about like, we don't need a wide receiver to win a Super Bowl. You've seen plenty of teams win, with not really. I mean, you've seen a couple of teams do okay with average wide receivers, but I mean, when you look at, roster construction and the way NFL teams were built, most teams that were winning a Super Bowl had a great quarterback, great wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. It went on and on. But the Browns seem to ignore that the way the Cavs are ignoring this 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". And it's not like there's a shortage. There's plenty of these guys out there. And they've been available. They've been available in trades. They've been available in free agency. They've been available in the draft. And the Browns, I did it again. The Cavs seem to want to go for, I don't know, the 4, the 6'10", 6'11" guy that they can try to turn into a stretch 5. And it's a weird thing. They just keep kind of swinging and missing on this position. I think maybe Isaac Okoro was an attempt at this. But again, I don't know that he's really ever going to turn into that kind of player. I think the Cavs need to actively go out and find a 3 that can, drop down to the post and do a little bit, come up to the point, do a little bit, maybe even operate as a shooting guard, whatever. They just need that guy that can score, that can fill up, right? And some length. I think the Cavs go 6'1", 6'4", 6'5" in the backcourt. As maybe I'm wrong on the sizes, but that's got to be, I mean, that feels like in late 80s, early 90s kind of a backcourt. It's really, really small. And I get it's fast, but it's really hard to produce, any kind of offense when you've got such a size disparity. I mean, guys are, like I said, playing the wing now at 6'8", 6'9", even 6'10". So I think they're going to need one of those guys. I think they've got to do that. So again, in the comments, let me know. I mean, do you think the Cavs will sign Donovan Mitchell to a max contract? Do you think they'll look to move him to try to fill, to maybe get some draft picks back and bring some pieces in? Can Jared Allen coexist with Evan Mobley? Can they play together, and can that be cohesive, right? Or is he holding back Mobley's development? And maybe like one of the most important questions I'd like to hear you guys answer. Would you want to see LeBron and Bronny on this roster? Do you have any desire to see how that could turn out? Because sometimes I look at this roster and I'm like, hey, with LeBron as a little bit of a facilitator and not so much like trying to take on the scoring load every night to put up 45, 14 and 10 or whatever. I think this could be a pretty good team with LeBron as a facilitator still. I think that. I don't know exactly how Bronny fits in. I don't think we'll know until we see him, at least if he gets a chance to play. I don't know. We'll see him attempt to play in the NBA. I know the college career didn't go well, but I think you have to give the kid a break. I mean, he's coming off a major cardiac event, right? And probably just kind of taking baby steps to get back to the point where he's comfortable really pushing his body to the limit. I know people don't ever think about that. It's like a video game, right? He's back. Boom. He's healthy. Put him in there. He stinks. Get him out of there. Cut him. Delete the player. Whatever, right? People are so quick. And they're so quick to hate because he's LeBron's son. somehow he could control, the situation in which he was born. I don't know. I mean, I think it's weird that grown men and women in some cases will go online and direct so much hate. I mean, we like to call them grown men because they've turned the magical number. They're 18, but we know that science tells us our brains don't fully develop until we're 30. And some of our some of our wives will tell you our brains never fully develop. But we're calling these guys grown men and we're hating on teenagers. I think that's a weird look. Stop doing that. If you're doing that, don't do that. I don't care whose son it is. I don't care what your political. People are turning this into political. It's wild. Just chill out, man. Chill out. Let these kids develop. I mean, it's a kid. Let them develop. Just watch the sport and enjoy it, right? So yeah, again, let me know in the comments. Yeah, even more importantly, who do you want to see the Cavs bring in to replace JB Bickerstaff? I forgot. Yeah, we're talking about the coach getting fired. I didn't even mention that. Who are the Cavs going to bring in? I mean, who do you bring in to coach this team to get this team to the next level, to have them take the next step or whatever? I mean, you don't want to stay pat, right? Like if you're a Cavs fan, you don't want to just keep losing in the second round. So I don't know. Think about that too. And again, comment, let me know if you have ideas. I'm not even going to put out any ideas because I don't know who's available. I don't know who would be the best fit for this team. I don't know that. I'm looking to you guys. Please, Aiden Vance, if you're out there, comment. Let me know what you think, man. Aiden's like one of the guys that I know of that just that knows basketball so well. Another guy I went through sports emphasis with, Rayshawn Galat. Man, if this show finds its way to you, man, you're another guy who understands like the NBA and roster construction, like the ebbs and flows. So tell me, man. I mean, answer all these roster questions for me. Answer the head coaching question for me. You guys are it as far as I know, man. You guys know more than I'll ever know about basketball, and I appreciate that out of you. So let me know. And let's listen. I want to talk about the Guardians too. We have to talk about what's going on, right? At Progressive Field, because the Guardians are. Listen, you can say it's a fluke, but the Guardians don't get off to starts like this, right? They're 37-18. They're I don't know what they're something up on the Royals. I don't even know exactly how many they're up on the Royals right now. But they're in first place in the AL Central. I haven't looked at the standings since last night. I saw they beat the Rockies, but I didn't, take a quick peek at the standings afterwards. What I want to know is this team's 37-18. They're one of the best teams at home in baseball. They're really good on the road too. They've been so consistent. You had Charlie Morton of my, I'm a Braves fan. Charlie Morton will tell you. I mean, these guys are legit. Like when you look over into that dugout, when you play a series with a team, I think you get a feel for what kind of team it is, right? One off doesn't really tell you anything. But when you can play a Major League Baseball team for 3 games, 4 games, whatever the series goes for, I think you start to get a feel for what type of team that is. And Charlie Morton said, look, as you look into this team, like the bullpen is legit, right? Like the middle infield or the infield period is legit. At the time, I don't think Stephen Kwan was on the IL yet, but Kwan will be making his way back soon. He's already, I think he's made some rehab starts down at Lake County, so he's on his way back. He'll be back in the lineup soon. David Fry has come out of nowhere and is hitting like 860 or whatever. The guy's hitting like over 330 or whatever, 340 right now. It seems like every time I look up at a box score, I mean, this is no exaggeration. Every time I look at a box score, it's like Jose Ramirez is homered, Josh Naylor's homered, David Fry is homered. One of them has hit 2 homers. One of them has like 2 doubles and a homer. It's wild, right? They're really hitting the ball. And it hasn't truly started to warm up yet. I mean, if you're a Guardians fan, you watch this team year in and year out, and you've been watching since the Manny Acta days and whenever you started picking up this team, they normally heat up, right? Like the second week of June or so, and it starts to finally get warm every day. And the temperatures stop plunging. It's a cold, rainy day today. It feels like a fall day. And, it's not good for baseball. Hold a wood bat in your hands and try to hit a guy throwing 98 miles per hour on a day like this if you don't believe me. It's not a lot of fun. But yeah, when the Guardians, when the weather warms up, man, the Guardians get going. And they're already going. They're already a top 5 team in baseball. What I want to ask you guys, and again, feel free to comment, whatever. I mean, you can comment right here in the comment section. I'll have a discussion with you. I'll see the comments. I'll try to get back to as many as I can. Please engage and let me know. Can this team make noise in October? Can they get to the World Series? Someone asked me on another show what I thought the Guardians needed to actually get over the hump and to be a World Series winning type of team. I don't think there's any question it's starting pitching, right? You can always use more offense. I know you can always score more runs, but nobody really hits in October anymore anyway, right? The weather's so cold and miserable. It seems like you get a lot of 2-1 games, 3-2 games. So the key in those 2-1, 3-2 games is to have a couple of pitchers up at the top of your starting rotation that maybe are listen, I saw the Cubs, I saw many teams do this to the Braves back in the 90s. The Cubs are a team that I can think of right offhand with Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor right at the top of the rotation. Guys throwing 95, 96, 97 plus, right? They make those October at bats really, really uncomfortable, especially in cold weather cities. Um, like I said, you're going out there, it's 45 degrees, you're holding a wood bat, and you got to face a guy 2 nights in a row, going 96, 97 plus. Just, psychologically, mentally, as a hitter, that puts you behind the 8 ball a little bit because like, okay, well, this isn't going to be the same as it was in July and August. Like, I can't just throw my barrel out there and expect this ball to fly 460 feet. It's not going to happen. And then you have people saying that baseball changes, that Major League Baseball changes the actual ball for the playoffs. I don't know. I mean, we've had people do experiments where they cut apart a ball that was used, one part of the season, cut apart a ball that was used during the playoffs. There are obvious physical differences, and if you know anything about baseballs, if they're wound tighter, they're going to go farther. If they're not, whatever. There are obvious physical differences. You've seen, well, I don't know if you've seen them, but you can see them. You can look that up. They're out there where people have done the experiment, and it shows a physical difference. So I don't know, conspiracy theorists. If you're out there, hey, maybe this is for you. Maybe there's no conspiracy. Maybe it's just maybe it's something obvious that they're doing. But again, no one hits in October really well. If you have a couple guys that can throw 97, 98 up at the top of the rotation, I think that puts you way ahead. And I don't know that the Guardians have that. The Guardians have some guys that have been really, really good. I mean, I think one guy in particular, Ben Lively has been not, again, now listen, not Blake Lively. Okay. I know Blake Lively loves Come On Ref. I know she's a huge, she takes in our show. She'll probably won't admit it publicly, but I know her and Ryan Reynolds make a thing out of this every week, and they've been lost since Come On Ref has been off for a few weeks. We've taken a little hiatus, but I know they'll be happy. Listen, Ryan Reynolds has Deadpool and Wolverine coming out. He's got Come On Ref back. It's like a family thing. He does that with Blake. They love it, right? But she has not been pitching well for the Guardians. She didn't make the team. They didn't make the team, right? So why are we talking about her? Ben Lively's been unreal as that fifth starter, basically the fifth starter, just a call up. Just, hey, fill in here. And he's been really, really good. Tanner Bybee has shown signs of pure dominance. I mean, he shut down the Braves, back during that season, completely shut down the Braves. Tristan McKenzie, obviously pitching through an injury. He's been a little inconsistent, but what do you expect? I mean, you pitch with a torn UCL, you get what you get. And I think he's done just fine, honestly. They've been good. They've been really, really good. Okay. They've been good. They haven't been great, right? No one's talking about the Guardians having the best pitching in the league or even whatever. I think bullpen's good. Class A is really good. Class A's lights out. That's great. That's fantastic. You get to the lead or you get to the ninth inning with the lead and you feel like you're pretty good there. Hopefully that continues on in October. But again, I think it's starting pitching. I think the Guardians need to try to go out and do whatever they can do. And I know they're trying to call up some guys and they just want someone, right, to like showcase some potential so they can try to go get a starting pitcher, but it's going to be tough because they don't have a ton of assets. If I'm wrong, please comment, let me know. I mean, if they've got a ton of trade bait and I'm just missing it, at the AA and AAA level, let me know. Please, by all means. Again, if I'm wrong, tell me. I don't pay attention as closely to the Guardians as I do the Braves. But the Guardians seem a little bit challenged, really, honestly, and as far as assets go, and as far as trying to find something to throw together in a package without maybe using a major league ready guy to go get a starting pitcher. And you don't really want to use a major league ready guy if you're, if this is your window and you're trying for a World Series. I mean, obviously they're not going to get rid of Jose Ramirez. He's untouchable. Ramirez is untouchable. Naylor's untouchable. Maybe you want Manzardo to try to hit a little bit. Maybe you can package him into a deal, but he's gotten off to a pretty pedestrian start. I'm not saying he can't turn it around or that he won't turn it around. It's just right now, I don't think anyone's, chomping at the bit to throw their, any teams that are clearly going to be out of the pennant race. I don't think anybody's throwing their best starting pitcher at the Guardians right now for Kyle Manzardo, right? I don't think that's happening. But no, I think I just think they need, again, it's starting pitching, right? They have to have starting pitching. I don't know who. I don't know who would be the target out there. No one's given up on the season, certainly, on May 29th. I think there are teams that know right now that they're not going to win. They're not going to win a pennant. They're not going to win a division. They're not going to win a wild card spot. They know that right now. But they're still not going to give up because they're going to try to maximize those returns. I mean, they're going to, wait until the deadline to see basically who needs what and how badly they need it, right? You try to control your own market. You certainly don't want to give your guys away for nothing. I mean, I know a lot of people think that, uh, the trade deadline means, you've turned off fair trades on MLB The Show. And, it's like, well, we need a hitter. So let's go get Hank Aaron in his prime. I mean, we'll just trade him to we'll trade our worst guy to the Baseball Hall of Fame. We'll pluck Hank Aaron out of there. Like, that's not how that works. No organization is going to give you their best player. Let's go get Mike Trout. I mean, we got a shortstop down in Single A that stinks. He's hitting 182. Throw him that guy, and we'll just go get Mike Trout. Stop. You're not going to go trade for Mike Trout right now. Unless you're going to give up, I don't care. It doesn't matter if Trout's hurt, he's having a down year, whatever. He wasn't having a down year before he got hurt. He's having a great year. To go get guys like that command that type of return, you're going to have to give a return. You got to give guys back, right? You can't go get the best guy in baseball for pennies on the dollar. It's not going to happen. No team's going to give up like that. Even if they are losing, they're not going to give up their best players so you can win a World Series for nothing, right? They're going to want some type of return on that investment. So be smart about that, please. Don't expect the Guardians to go out and trade for, whoever. I don't know. I mean, who would you trade for right now? I mean, Chris Sale is on fire, right, for the Braves. Braves aren't giving him up. You can name other guys. I could name any other guys. I mean, there's 5 or 10 pitchers right now in the major leagues that are all going really, really well. No one's giving those guys up right now. And no one's going to give up on a prospect, a guy that's in the league for a second, third year. No one's just going to give that guy up, so you can go win a World Series. I mean, they're going to try to build around them too. Every team wants to win a World Series. It doesn't seem like some teams do sometimes, maybe the Pirates, but even the Pirates have been better. I don't know. Well, whatever. Let's just watch it, let it play out. But again, can the Guardians make any noise in October? I've rambled on long enough about this. You tell me. You tell me what you think they need. Do they need to go get, I don't know, a power hitting left fielder? I mean, I don't know. I mean, what anything that you think that they need to add to this roster, let me know. Please comment. Let me know. Just we can discuss it. And if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, I mean, tell me. I like to hear other opinions. And again, I've had a whole show of me just looking at my camera and talking about sports. So I would love to hear someone else's opinion on this. On any of the stuff we talked about, the Cavs, who are they going to bring in to replace JB Bickerstaff, right? What do they do? What do you think about the Browns draft? Limited as it was. I mean, did they pick up a couple of players that you think maybe will be contributors here over the next couple of years that'll contribute to some wins, hopefully, right? Because all of a sudden, I mean, the AFC North looks like, I don't know. Again, I mean, are the Steelers contenders again? The Ravens are what they are. The Bengals are going to have Joe Burrow back. I mean, suddenly the Browns look like the 4th best team possibly in this division again, and I know on paper they're very, very talented, but Nick Chubb is a huge question mark. I don't even know the time frame that we're looking at him to be back, if he's going to be back, and if he's going to be anywhere near 100% or even 85% this year, because I think you'd take 85% of Nick Chubb over a lot of guys in the league, right? I don't think that would be a problem for most people. Let me know what you think about Major League Baseball. Finally integrating the stats from all these Negro League players into the Major League Baseball database, the official database. I'm very excited about it. Again, I couldn't be more excited about Rickwood Field, Birmingham, Alabama, June 20th, my birthday. This tribute to the Negro Leagues and the Cardinals and the Giants. Obviously, it's going to be I plan on watching that game. That's what I plan on doing for my birthday. It's going to be really that'll be really satisfying for me to see. A really cool thing, at Rickwood Field, just such rich history. It really is. Like I said, it's the mecca for professional baseball in America when you really think about it. I mean, what's left? I mean, I know we've got Wrigley Field, but I mean, I don't even think Wrigley Field has seen as much history as Rickwood Field. You've got Fenway, you've got your other, old Yankee Stadium was, I feel like the new Yankee Stadium is just kind of a building, right? It's just where they play baseball. It's not the same. It doesn't feel the same. You can't walk into that building and feel all that history. If you guys agree with me, again, comment. If you disagree with me, comment. Let me know. If you think there's another place that I need to know about, another mecca of professional baseball in America that you know of, let me know. Comment. Put it in the comment section. Let's talk about it. But again, that's all I've got for you guys today. Surprisingly, yeah, I'm out of words. I know it may not seem like I could ever run out of words, especially if you are my wife. She probably gets tired of hearing me talk, and maybe even my kids sometimes. But listen, thank you guys so much for listening. It was good to get some of this stuff off my chest. I've been wanting to talk about this for a couple of weeks now. Especially, with all the, well, I mean, just the Major League Baseball stuff just broke recently, but that's so exciting to me. It's fun to have an outlet to talk to you guys about it. So again, thanks for listening. Remember to like and subscribe, whatever channel this ends up going on, whether it's my channel personally, if it's the Come On Ref channel. Please, like and subscribe and share it with your friends, share it with your family, anyone you know who likes to talk about sports. Tell them about our show, and let them know they're always welcome to engage. Typically, we're live every Wednesday. The time may be changing a little bit due to availability, concerns. Things happen behind the scenes that are just whatever, beyond anyone's control, and we'll do our best to work around those. As soon as we have maybe a little more consistent time, we'll get back on it here. I know it was every Wednesday at 11 for a while, so it was really easy to watch, but we're back. I'm back, at least for today. So again, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Remember to comment. Uh, please just engage with the show, share it with your friends, tell everyone about it. Even if it's terrible, even if it's like, this guy's so terrible, you got to watch this. I mean, please stay tuned for 45 minutes and just watch how terrible this guy is. I even appreciate that, even some of the negative stuff. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week, sometime, possibly Wednesday, maybe in the afternoon. We'll know more then. But again, thanks for watching, guys. This has been another episode of Come On Ref. I'm your lone host this week, Chad Bryan, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.